During a disaster is not the right time to figure out who you're supposed to talk to, whether your plan will work, who your contemporary is in another agency. All of that should be sorted out beforehand.
Constructive Simulation is a fully interactive computer program allowing decision makers to manage resources, exchange information, and get feedback on the decisions they make during an event. It is recognized as one of the most realistic training tools available today.
The focus of Constructive Simulation is realistically training decision makers and their staff within their own environment. It's really challenging for emergency managers to practice their decision making. They need a huge volume of information to be coming at them, and they need to be able to send it to the appropriate places and see the responses that are happening to ensure that they're getting the right feedback.
Constructive simulation is actually not new. It's been used by the military for about 30 years, but we're actually bringing it into the emergency and disaster management environment for the first time. Well, constructive simulation is used because it's the most realistic way of practicing, other than going through a real event. It forces people to use their real communication methods. It forces them to catalog and utilize all the resources that they have available to them, and forces everyone to do it just as if it was real.
These exercises are a lot about communication and collaboration. So not only are you collaborating within your own organization, but you're also working with outside agencies, and you're working within the operations center.
For an emergency manager, all they're getting is video, data, email. Information is being fed to them. Our constructive simulation allows that exact same environment to occur without the actual stress of a real emergency.
So the aim is to remove all of the possible uncertainties through practice. So when the real event occurs, all you have to do is deal with the incremental problems and differences that are happening during that event. So instead of having somebody struggling with all of the aspects of a disaster, you have them able to be calm and practiced with the basic elements, and then it's just the new stuff that they're dealing with, and that is much easier to do.
So the Deepwater Horizon, explosion, oil spill, complex decisions had never been practiced, and the crew was unclear of the chain of command and who had authority to make decisions. And they were left standing on the platform wondering what to do. So using constructive simulation, these crews could plan and train for those types of events.
Constructive simulation fills the gap between tabletop exercises, which are fairly inexpensive to run, and fully deployed live training. To run a full-scale functional exercise, it can cost in the millions of dollars. In a tabletop exercise, people sit around and talk about what they would do and what they might do and how they would handle a situation. In a constructive simulation, there is no might or would or could. You have the resources available to you, and you have to use them properly. If you forget to deploy something, it won't be there.
Really, up to this point, constructive simulation has been very, very expensive to operate. It's been U.S. military, large-scale simulation centers, and we've been able to distill this down onto a laptop deployable system that is easy to use, easy to run, and fits within people's budgets. We've used this with the U.S. National Guard, with U.S. Northern Command to prepare for unimaginable events. We create the background scenario, and the participants have their existing disaster response plans. So what we do is mesh the two together. So we have the disaster, and then the participants have to respond to that disaster. And that's where the learning happens. Many of these plans have never been tested before. People aren't sure about time and space, like how long it takes to deploy an asset from here to there. This all gets tested during the simulation.
I recently went to Jamaica to participate in a countrywide hurricane exercise. Within a week and a half, we were able to fully train the staff on using our software and run the exercise. In recent years, they had conducted 2 fully functional exercises, and the training value received from our exercise surpassed the 2 of them together.
By being able to take your plan and test it and make sure that it'll work, not only that it'll do the minimum that it's supposed to do, but it's able to excel in all possible situations. You have an effective plan. And then by taking your people and training them to communicate, training your decision makers to make proper decisions, giving them feedback on their decisions, you're training them to be better at disaster management. So a good plan that's made into a better plan with good disaster managers that are made into better disaster managers together allow us to save lives.